Retribution. Retribution.
AEL will rise again from the ashes, forged in flame, glory carved into our name.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to AEL Season 3. We are back tonight with a great lineup, great match ahead of you. But before we get into that, Whiskey, my baby,
We're
it's you
here.
and me tonight. This is the first time you and I have casted together. How are you feeling tonight?
You know what? I'm pumped up. Wasn't necessarily have the two best of ones on track for today, but that's what makes it even better, right? Comp Siege, two best of ones, the fight for certain dominance inside of the bracket. Man, I'm here for it.
Yes, yes. And like our beautiful producer Kylo is saying, it's going to be a dogfight. It's been a dogfight and it's going to be a dogfight till the end, especially in this bracket, this commando bracket versus our ranger bracket. Yeah, let's take a look at it. So, commando on the left side, ranger on the right side. Ranger seems to be a little bit more organized so far. You know, their ranks are a little bit more solidified, and the teams have kind of shown their colors a little bit more significantly, right? They have their own
Mm-hmm.
little quirks, their own little pieces to them, whereas Commando, we haven't seen as much from any of these teams, right? For example, Baller and TBD, the two teams that we will be seeing tonight, we've only seen about 1 to 2 matches from each of these teams played, which is kind of wild, don't you think?
Yeah, in the battle for seventh place, all the teams you had mentioned here before we got to the show, that both of these teams have won a game against Team Extreme, and then one of them, I believe, also won a game against Overtake. So the battle for seventh has like literally no stats associated with it. This is going to be a fun one because it's still part of that mystery, part of the undetermined part.
No, I totally agree with you. I love to see two teams go at it that you don't really have too much experience watching them because you can really get an idea, a fresh, clean slate. You can get a great idea of how they play as the game goes on. And I'm honestly, fresh eyes is the best way I work. But looking at the playoff picture, we've got Temper already in first. They're definitely going to be first seeded in this. Skyline so far on the Commando side of things, they are first seeded as well, but like we said, the playoffs haven't quite solidified for this bracket, right? Commando is looking a little shaky right now. So everything is up in the air. It could be anybody's seed, anybody's bracket here. But again, as for Ranger, Temper, always going to be number one. They haven't lost a game yet.
You know what? Temper's just looking good across the board. It doesn't matter what league that you go in. We've been posting a ton of videos lately of these guys just putting themselves in 2v4 clutch situations and coming up on top. It's completely expected to see them at the top. And Skyline, of course, always has a huge run in the T4, T3 scene, right? They always put really good teams together. Reno in that T2 scenario. So, yeah, a lot of good teams here at the top for this playoff picture. And it looks like potentially towards the end of the season, it's going to get pretty dicey. But Jenna, tonight, the head to head, it's the big one, the first one, the battle for seventh place. And as we were talking about it earlier, saying there's not very many stats, and the win loss doesn't necessarily tell the whole story between these two teams. So really, it's going to come down to that individual role and how impactful that's going to be playing out in this best of one.
Yeah, I honestly can't agree with you more, right? It's going to be how can each player assemble themselves in a way that will be meaningful to the entire round, to the entire team. Like how can you make yourself useful, right? And how can you make yourself a piece of this team that is going to clinch that win, right? Like I am so interested in how this is going to play out because like we truly have seen little to no gameplay from either of these teams. But let's look at TBD, right? So Rican is going to be the player to watch, but again, these stats don't really tell the story like you have been saying, so we can't honestly look at stats as a way forward, right? We're going to have to look at the gameplay. That's going to be more telling of how each of these teams function. Chalet has been the most played, but again, have to remember these were losses, right? So, most played map, but perhaps not their strongest map, TBD.
Yeah, the one thing that you can take as a highlight from here is their last match was a 7-5 loss against Team Sesh. Team Sesh is they're 100% in the T3 T2 scene. The core group been together a long time. So, as a loss, you can take from that they getting some things together. Might be getting a little bit on track because Team Sesh ain't no slubs. Let's take a look who's on the roster here for TBD and who to be looking out for. Nyx, Yarios, Slothy, Sky, and Boots. Couple of names I know, couple I'm just a little bit unfamiliar with. So TBD, well, I think it's going to stay that way until we see this first match.
I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that wordplay you got going on there. I like that little wordplay. Baller, baller. So again, I'm not even gonna look at player to watch for this team, right? And in Consulate, again, most played, win-loss still 0-3 on it, so it's actually worse off than what TBD's was, which is funny because TBD is actually ranked 8th, whereas Baller is 7th. So I find that funny. You've had 4 matches on Chalet, you won 1, 3 matches on Consulate, have not won a single one, and yet you're still on top against TBD, comparatively against TBD. So honestly, I these stats have been a mystery to me. They truly have been a mystery to me, and I'm just, again, cannot express enough how interested I am to see how these teams actually do function. But last match, won by forfeit against Fizz. Now, if we were to look at Fizz is in 10th in the Commando League, so there really isn't too much to say about that as well. I feel like all of the matches that each of these teams have lost have been against teams that are higher in the ranks, in the standings, than these teams. So they essentially have solidified their places so far in this bracket, but, you know, they haven't really been able to come out on top against 1 through 6. But they also have forfeit wins against the teams below them. So, I mean, again, there isn't really too much of a spot where you can pinpoint, okay, this is this skill, as much as you can with the Ranger League.
Yeah. Yeah, so taking a look at who is on the team, and one of you said the player to watch out for, Gugs. There, that is a known name. That is a known concept. He's a known quantity and somebody who can absolutely fry. So I would expect to see them get quite active towards the end towards the beginning of this round. Here's the deal, though, right? We got everybody just about ready. So the story is told by where the battlefield is set, and you can see a couple of early bans off the boards here in the maps. Clubhouse Lair, Chalet, and Bank are gone. Night Haven, Consulate, man, that means a couple were squeaking on by. Skyscraper making it to the later end of the pool does mean that we're going to see the Great Windows Simulator. Cafe going to be coming up for this best of 1. I love Cafe. It's fun. It's a giant square, right? There's plenty of avenues to get on in. I can't wait for this one.
No, I love the map geography of Cafe, and I love casting Cafe because there are just truly so many, like you said, there are so many ways to attack, there are so many options that the attack and honestly the defense can opt for. Even though we have been up and down with the meta, even though we've seen many different iterations of how Cafe has been played, and we're kind of at a plateau with the strategy of Cafe at this point, I'd still argue that there's so many ways that you can take this still this late in the game for how long Cafe has been out. I mean, just endless opportunities, and I love that, right? The vert, the horizontal play, the windows, just so many things. All right.
So now in this new iteration of Cafe Geno, we get to see it with the three ban system, which has changed the game in which Siege is played, right? Because it can get a little bit more progressively worse, right? There's a couple of bans you see right off the board. On the side of the defense, they don't want to deal with the Monty. Shield still being a big primary area of that, and of course getting the hard breaches out of there. On the defensive side, it can go a little loopy, right? We can go for the castle ban now. We can get that Valkyrie taken off as that intel is so huge. Or do you go for a little bit of that roam clear?
Let's see, Ying and Clash. Okay.
Clash it is.
I mean, were you even expecting that? I have to ask.
I thought the castle was going to go, right? Castle is an instrumental part of Cafe defense, whether you're on the third floor, whether you're on the second floor with a third floor hold, or whether you're extending out in bakery. He has proved to be one of those master manipulators of the site, redefining how you can take in what gadgetry you have to bring to the table. And as you can see it, they're going to bring them out right out the gate.
Which is interesting because they're going on what is argued the tertiary site. Out of all the sites that you could pick, I mean, you could go top floor, you could go kitchen, and the tertiary, argued tertiary site. We're going to be seeing reading and fireplace being played out. Looks like we lost, unfortunately, the stream at the moment. Hopefully production will be able to get that back soon.
You know, it wouldn't be live siege without live siege issues. Here, what we can tell about Cafe right now is that those tertiary sites that you're talking about, we've seen that start to extend across the map pool, right? Where you claim that center site and you hold the vertical both above and below. And on Cafe, it makes sense because that top floor, that third site, it's a solved arena, right? This is one that if you've ever played Cafe, you for sure attacked and defended that third floor a million times. What do you have to do? You have to take ticket control at top red. You have to push that pixel. Got to have some presence on the cocktail area. Now, when you take the site down below to this first floor or to the second floor site, you effectively run the same strat up top, but this time once you clear it out, you still have to get down to the bottom floor. I love seeing us start out on the second.
You know what, I do have to say I agree with you on that, because not only is it a very fine balance of pacing and time for the attack, but it's a very fine balance of pacing and time for the defense too, right? And that is honestly such an understated part of all of this, right? TBD, they're going to have to balance very precisely exactly how they want to position themselves, when they want to position themselves there, and when they're going to decide, okay, let's be passive, let's be aggressive, let's take this, let's not take this, right? Do you want to waste time for the attack, or do you want to pull off something crazy like that, try to go for an early pick? Unfortunately, it's not going to result in anything. But still, just player off the board.
Yeah, in fact, that was the highlight player, right? That was one of the win cons set early in the pre-show. They said, you know what? You got to get Gugs out of here. So they're going to find that first one. Man advantage is going to go into the hands of the defense, and that's a huge bit of a start. With the run out down below, makes it a little bit more interesting because now you have to look for those runouts every single round. You have to check the windows for the spawn peaks. It's ghost pressure without ever having to really apply it. So, minute 14 left, Jenna. They're starting to push in. It's going to be in DMR to claim Slothy off the board. That's going to be the body balance equalizer. Now puts us into a 4-4 and a low health situation with the gridlock.
You can tell TBD has control of the situation, right? They are setting the pace for themselves. They are playing very confidently, and they are knowing what they want to accomplish in this round. And the most unfortunate part, which we haven't really talked about, is that ram going down, right? So that forces Baller to have to play more horizontally now. They're going to have to play much more aggressive, pushing in on that train side, playing through, because now you don't have a player to push for Vert. But if you circumvent Vert control, what are you going to do? That's going to throw everything up in the air, right? And for these last few seconds, this is what we're seeing.
Yep, a little bit of vertical pressure now being put down onto it. It's a tough spot to find your way in. Pre-fire not going to amount to anything as Skyte's able to take one down on the body shot. Now into a 4v2. Pressure onto Pillar as he's going to whip, but still able to kill it. Find it. Triple kill now on Skyte. It's going to be Twitch alone in a 1v3. Good for two of them back to back. But the cross is going to be set up. We can almost call this one done and dusted. TBD, they're going to take that first defense.
Right. My man. Woo! Ooh, that was almost so good.
It got exciting towards the end, Jenna. They almost pulled that off.
Yeah, that was almost pulled off. That was almost an incredible, mind you, Twitch DMR clutch. The mechanical ability you gotta have on a single fire unlike that. Oh my god, don't even get me started. Now, essentially, if we were to place, if we were to, give that round one word, right? I'm gonna say pacing. I'm gonna say pacing. Pacing, I always go back to it. Pacing, always, especially on that second floor. And it's something that you touched on very early in the round, talking about, once you get that top floor control, now you're gonna have to get second floor control as well. So you have to have that pacing on point as an attacker. Baller did not have that. They had a very early loss with that ram going off the board for them. On top of that, they just weren't able to get that vert control.
Yeah, that's going to be standard.
5 seconds left before.
You're absolutely right, especially on a second floor site. Well, I mean, just in
Attacker's
general,
objective is to
vertical
defuse the
is the
bomb.
necessity. It is going to happen. You can't push in without it, even on a quick match. It just is too difficult to defend against. And unfortunately, echoing back to that, if there's going to be live siege, there's going to be a live issues. Had a little bit of a disconnect. So this time, we're going to send it to a quick break while we get that lobby rehosted, set back up, and then sit back, relax, because when we come back, we're going to bring you the stunning conclusion to the first map. Ayo.
welcome back, everybody. We are back from our little tech pause that we had. We had to do a quick rehost, so hopefully you guys are all ready for the action to come. TBD, they won the first round, and now we're going on the other second floor site. How are we feeling?
You know what? It's exciting. It's interesting, right? We've been seeing the rise of mining being a site that is viable, and that's one of the fun things about Cafe is that all 4 sites are viable sites. But to see it as a secondary, honestly, leaves me with a bit of a question mark. It does have their stronghold in the bakery still, right? So you still have that almost guaranteed round down on the preferred site. But I mean, if they run this and it's successful, we live in a world where you don't have to play third floor. And honestly, Jenna, I'm here for that.
Honestly, I am too. I mean, because that definitely points to TBD wants to waste as much time as humanly possible for Baller, right? They want to use their utility to their advantage. They want to use their positioning to their advantage. They know that they have the upper hand when it comes to pacing, as all defense teams do. But they want to fully exploit that advantage as much as humanly possible. And honestly, I can appreciate that, right? We've got the Valkyrie in play. We've got the Pulse in play. Love to see them both going up on the board, especially with those 3 Nitros in play too. It's going to tell you that TBD is looking to sit below. They're trying to catch the players of Baller off guard.
It's not a bad way to go about it. I mean, you're tripled up on the intel, tripled up on the C4, and if Siege is one thing, it's a game of intel and opportunity. So this is definitely the way to get it done. When all of the floor is soft breach, honestly, I love it. Now, the big question mark for me is Pulse running the shield, or did he go with the standard gun? I think Pulse or the shield is the right call. Now look at this. Blitz makes his way a couple of shots onto the sentry. They're going to get it, and P10 Roni is also going to find one in an answer back. So when the dust settles, finds ourselves in a 4v3. C4 to ring out, but not going to connect just yet as all of chaos starts to break down. Now the flank from the top of red to put pressure onto the windows. He's wondering if they made it in just yet. Pulse still with a ton of information. Doubling up on it, might see himself with 2 P10 Roni to ring out again. Now into a 2v4. That was all within the first minute. Still putting pressure onto the laundry area. Blitz gonna go down as the toes were revealed. Skite on Twitch able to find one. Answered back onto Boots as the headshot is a pixel perfect shot. Now, Jenna, 1v3, low health scenario, nomad with all to do, and alone on an island. This is a tough situation as an attacker to find yourself.
It sure is. It sure is. I mean, again, low health. You still do have 2 flashes in hand, so you definitely can use that to your advantage. You also have a drone in the pocket, so you've got that going for you. But when the defense knows exactly where you are, it's not gonna look good for you. And there you go. You've got the Pulse to finish off the round, getting the kill from below. What a unfortunate way for a life to end there. You gotta be quicker than that, Nomad. You gotta be quicker than that.
I just love it though. Like really switched up the feeling of primary and secondary with your op choices. And what does that mean? What does that really lend itself to? It's the experience of the other team coming together, right? Some of these core players have played Siege as competitively for really, really a long time. And then you add some frag power in Skite, and you find yourself with a pretty mean setup. This newest Nyx iteration looking pretty formidable if they can get some games. Right? You talked about it in the pre-show, Jenna. It's been forfeit city for both of these teams all the way around. This is the first big test they really had.
It is, and I'm glad to see both of these teams going at it from similar positions in the bracket, because I would hate to see our first experience with both of these teams, which technically it's not my first experience with TBD, but assuming it is our first experience with TBD and Baller, I would hate for it to play out in a way that looks, I guess, damning to either team, right? You don't want to see that 7-1, you don't want to see that 7-2 and have these teams get absolutely stomped on when they do have a lot of potential in their roster, right? I personally love to see when games go as far as they possibly can. So
That's my favorite.
this has been good. Yeah.
I want it. I want the 1v1 and double overtime to clinch it. You know, the best of the best.
Yes.
A little bit of that inexperience, though, Jenna. You can see they were leaving some default cams up, and that's kind of one of those critical steps, right? They're going to make their way in. They're going to put some pressure on it, and in fact, they're going to get a down onto the Jaeger as well. But the DMR is going to answer back. Boots getting active. Cali claiming one. A pistol pop for the body drop. Nightmare Nix living up to his name as he claims one. So when the dust settles, yeah, they lost one. They lost the defender, but it was passive util. They're able to get Jaeger back up, and all of a sudden, Baller finds themselves in an all too familiar 1v4 into a none.
I think they've walked themselves right into a death trap. They walked themselves right into a genuine, like, I can't even say anything else but death trap, because that was bullets flying, incredible firefight going on through the entire time. I mean, Baller, hey, at least they committed fully. You know, I gotta hand it to them. If there's one thing that they could do in that moment, it was commit. They full sent it. Unfortunately, it did not work the second time around. But I want to see some strategy come on their end, right? I hate to see when there is this, like, sort of misplaced, I guess, aggression from the attack. I love to see when they're methodical. I love to see when they have that sort of forethought walking into the defense. So I want to see them slow down a little bit. God forbid.
I could see that, right? You set the pace if it's being dictated by the defense. Yeah, a great place to find yourself is changing up that, trying to catch them off guard. Here's the thing: we're on defense. You've now had the opportunity to see 3 rounds of gameplay. You know a little bit about what they're bringing to the table as far as strategy-wise. Now you can react. The fun part here is, and you've seen it a couple of times, is where on the end of the round rotate, instead of seeing mining, we could end up seeing a third floor to give them a completely different look as well. So there's still something to be left on the table. The big highlight here for me, Jenna, they're going site redirect. The Architect and Azami is on board. Castle to stop that great window simulator, and effectively, third floor is locked down currently.
You love to see it. I mean, I love to see a sort of proxy defense from the defense when they hold up above, because now we're going to see how the defense can put into play how well they pace, right? How well they position themselves. Are they going to look for those aggressive first picks, or are they going to kind of sit back and allow the attack to come to them? We saw on the first round when they did go second floor reading fireplace, TBD was a little bit aggressive and they were able to set that pace quickly. But like you said, now that we've played a few rounds into it, perhaps Baller will now react and they'll be a little bit more proactive with how they want to take this round.
One thing you could for sure do is slow them down with that flank watch. They doubled up on it on the side of the attack, both the thick lock and Nomad being brought out. Make sure that you're not going to catch them unaware. First minute has gone down. Drones are doing their thing, sussing out where these defenders at. Really, honestly, taking their time with this one. And this is an important step because you got to clear out some of these. You got to check some of these attacker boxes. Force back off Pixel. That's going to be a good first step as you're allowed to start claiming Cigar and claiming, well, almost claiming, right? A life got claimed there as Web goes down. Sky takes him off the board. Numbers get equalized, but they've made some important steps.
Indeed. I mean, they've definitely made their way into Cigar at this point, which, even though there is still a level of contention going on from the defense, they are beginning to fall back. You can see that Castle playing through the hatch. So now they're slowing down a little bit, right? TBD is now having to rethink their approach here. They might go for the retake here, exactly what they're going to do. Skype with the one on Rye. But again, slowing down. This is what you want to force the defense to do, right? You want to reiterate the pace. So now that Baller has control, they've got about 45 seconds left on the clock. They do have the gridlock on the board. They've got things going for them, certainly, right? They just have to make that execute work for them.
C4 goes out, but it's not going to claim anything anything just yet. Defense has got a bit of a fortress built up. There's some vertical claimed here, so they're trying to find one, right? You find one, you can get yourself in to start going for that execute, start getting that plant down. But currently, chessboard sitting in the hands of the defenses. They've just been stymied. The flank coming up from the bottom. Skite on the triple kill. Just going to be proved to be too much, and that's why you do it. That's why you bring in the ringer, right? Skite was that console demon who made his name in the Jinxieverse, playing in those BOGO tournaments, playing with some of, like, honestly, the best in the world. You get Spoit going on in there, you know, all of these pro players. Stompin', the great Stompin', King Stompin' comes from that scene. So you bring in a ringer. You bring in a ringer and you slow it down and you allow him to frag, and that's exactly what he's doing. Yet to see death.
I like that. Yet to see death. Hasn't met death yet.
Attackers need to
Hasn't seen the Grim Reaper quite yet on the board. We know who's seen death, yo. Slothy. Man, going 0-3. Hate to see it. Same thing with Rye. And Gabba. What's going on there, fellas?
Couple of question marks there, Jenna. What do you do when Skite's got as many kills as the entirety of the rest of the team? Right? It paints the picture. It lends itself to that 4-0 that we're seeing currently. So now, Baller, this is your chance. You know, a 4-2 split seems very reasonable for Cafe on an attacker side. The problem is, you got to get that first one. You have to prove that the Kings can bleed. And once you do that, then you can start to build up a little bit of momentum in your favor. This next round, Jenna, this next round is really important.
It certainly is really important, and what I want to see from Baller is a little bit better pace from them, right? They need to take that top floor, that cocktail, a little bit quicker. They need to have at least 1:30 to themselves to be able to capitalize on Vert and to be able to make their way down to a horizontal execute that is meaningful, okay? We don't want it to be too hasty. We don't want them to be sitting on stairwells, getting flanked by somebody who's sitting on the platform below. Right? They need that time. Time is the biggest enemy. And speaking of time, time is ticking. Kills are happening. Gabba and who are off the board, the Doke and the flank watch.
Huge kill. Leaves Gabba not able to purchase a kill just yet, but an LMG is going to ring out and claim one. That's going to be Nyx off the board, a C4 to go with him. So, I mean, a good pick, a little bit closer into equalizing on the body balance. As that vertical is being held here, you can see that the two defenders are still up top, right? They're still up. We're at a standstill between the two. And intel is to be had. They know that they're at the top of red. So the pressure here really going to start mounting for the attackers. Boots able to claim one as Rye gets his head ripped off. Oh, man, and it just continues to be the same. Boots is going to clean up with a two-piece, and honestly, it's starting to look real good for TBD.
Gotta hand it to TBD. I mean, they're making a mess of Baller right now, right? They're not even allowing them to pick up momentum in the round. They're making them look like an unorganized team at this point. And that is not to say that they are an unorganized team, but they have been made to look that way, right? Quite a lot of errors on their end. They have been losing a lot of bodies. They haven't quite gotten only one, actually. They've only gotten one opening pick thus far. The defense has claimed all 4 other opening picks on these 5 rounds that have been played. So TBD, I mean, they're in the driver's seat right now. Right? Even when the pace has been set by Baller, even when they have been good with their time, TBD still finds a way to either even out that man count, to play passive enough to where Baller can honestly walk right into a trap. Right? They know how to play well under pressure when things start to go wrong, whereas Baller can't quite compete on that level.
Man, how many did Boots get on that last round? He's sitting 9-1 currently. Like, what? Slowly crept his way into being the win con currently.
Wait, was that? No way that was an ace. That wasn't an ace.
No, because I'm pretty sure...
was that 4?
Yeah.
That must have been 4.
Quick run out. Some pressure to be built up. More of that ghost pressure to slow down that attacking team, stay in their heads. A couple of last-minute gadget placements can ensure that you don't know exactly what you're walking into. Feel a little good. Couple of shots towards, but that's going to give us location away. They now know that they've made their way into Whiskey. It's going to be Slothy to take Gugs off the board. Now puts us into a 5-4, and is going to send Finka right back out that window. They're going to nope right on out.
In a very unfortunate turn of events, this is the second round in a row that Guger has been taken off the board. First player to go off the board. And he was your player to watch, huh?
Yeah, he was.
Well, even the best players have bad days. We have to say that. Even the best players have bad days.
Look at that. Just a quick drop in. Webb going to find Boots off the board. So part of the win con met. Now they've doubled up on it as they claim that man advantage by 2. And now Baller looking at their best chance to finally claim a round. Sticking the defense in place with that Lion ping. Gonna start to see them slowly start to collapse on site. The beautiful thing here is there's so much time left on the board, right? There's no reason to try to isolate just yet. Get your cams out, set some cuts up, and find where these last 2 defenders are. Nick starts making his way down the stairs. He's going to be sought, and Webb is going to take him off the board. Now puts us into a 4v1 scenario. Jaeger, the last alive. He's not going to be able to get it done. It's an LMG with enough bullets to claim them all, and he's going to kill him on that one.
Rye coming in. Was that Rye's first kill? Can we get a confirm on that? Was that Rye's first kill? It might have been.
I'm not sure.
It was one of Rye's first kills. We'll say that. You gotta love it. Think of LMG. I mean, a real banger.
This is a rush straight out of solo queue. I love it.
It is. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. And what's even more beautiful, Zami going off the board alongside Blitz. They don't want to rush Baller. Baller doesn't want to have to deal with the rush because guess why? 5-1. That's the scoreline that they're looking at. They're looking down the barrel of a match point at this point. And so they want to prevent any sort of cheeky plays that TBD could possibly pull off. And what better way to pull off a cheeky play than with a Monty and a Blitz? Also, Castle's going off the board, which you noted. You wanted Castle to go off the board really early on, and TBD definitely got some great use out of Castle on their defense rounds, but this time around, Baller, he's not going to have the man, the myth, the legend, the UMP wielder.
You know what's crazy is you talked about pace being such an important part of these early rounds, and it absolutely was. And TBD is looking to continue that. When you take away both the Azami and the Castle, you are effectively saying, we are going to take spaces, we are going to shoot the gap, and we are going to make you pay for any mistakes that you made while you're trying to get inside. So now you don't have the Castle, you don't have the Azami. How do you adapt? What do you do? The big thing that I like here, and that could be a fun difference maker, is that the cap can's on the board, right? And they're bringing it out on the very first round. So you don't have a chance to have already paid the price for that. You won't necessarily be checking every single door and every single window until that first one goes off, right? Once that first cap can trap goes off, then of course it's going to be all you can think about for the rest of the round. So as a way to set the pace on the defense, get yourself a couple of trap off. You bring along the Ellis. You can break the shield when eventually a shield rush happens. This is not a bad defense to start us off.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, just shoving area denial in your face. Look at that with the Ella, with the Capcan, and the Legion combo. That's pretty significant. Speaking of Ella, Ella's going to be the first player off the board. That is a attack first pick. The second attack first pick. Actually, we've seen this game thus far, but it's from TBD this time around.
Yeah, well, you know, you have to set the pace on the defensive side of it. Taking a couple of shots on the spawn peak, even if you don't hit it, just lets them know that you're going to be doing it, right? So it can be a bit of that pace setter. Fortunately, it doesn't go in the way of the defense. Webb does go down. Now C4 to ring out. Cheeky bit of action, but he's not going to claim one just yet on that either. And they still have one more potentially in hand. Rye still with that C4. Okay, taking a little bit of space. You can see them starting to make their presence known here onto the second floor. They start hunting out that vertical play. You know, there's a couple of critical push points here. Coat check being one that you need to have cleared out. That potential flank from White, always going to be a danger. So the next couple of seconds here, going to be sussing out those last defenders and setting themselves up for a devilish little execute.
Yeah, I'm liking to see this so far. I mean, of course the guess is going to be, okay, we're seeing Kochek, we're also seeing White. I'd love to see a White take. Rather than a red side take, I would love to see the White take. Especially because there is no technical hard breach on the side of TBD. I would love to see what they did with that. Although, I think they might be going that way, because you've got the hatch that's being opened up from the side of TBD. So they're obviously going for a very Vert-esque take, with a few players laying down, trying to find an opening as much as they can from that brown side. Love to see it. Yeah, but taking a little bit of damage from the Vert, TBD is searching for these players from Baller in the kitchen side.
Ooh, a little bit of siege
yeah.
timing there.
Yeah. Do we see it? Do we see it? No, we don't! The flank watch paid off for Skype. Cougar is going down, and that late retake will not happen for the side of Baller. Now, we see a 3v3. We've got a player on the coat check side. That's Yari. Twitch is going to take one. Actually, no. Skype is going to take that player instead. Rye will come back with one, and it's a 2v2. Time is ticking for the attack. Slothy's gonna go down. Skype is the last remaining player on the ramp to finish it out, but it will not happen. Rye with the pistol whip in the corner, thrown down. It's gonna take the round.
Beautiful little round by the defense. Now, that's the thing. You have several rounds that you can play with. So they go for something a little bit more cheeky. They do the top down, but aren't quite successful with it. Baller's going to end up finding their next round. But the thing is, Jenna, they just did it on Bakery. Now you have some of the other sites that are a little bit more difficult to contend with, right? We expect the defense to win basement. We almost expect the defense to win reading and fireplace, as well as that very strong secondary site. So the big question mark is going to be, where in the world do you go if you win this one? And if you don't, you're on a match point situation. What's the adaptation then?
Mind you, yeah, you gotta win 3 rounds. Otherwise, 3 rounds in a row, otherwise you are sitting at that match point. I mean, that's gotta be a scary thought for Baller right now. That has had to have lit a fire under them. We have to win. There is no other option. We need to win. We are going to win this. And I mean, even looking back at last round, right? They were relentless, right? They had many of those cheeky attempts at the roam, at the retake, at multiple points in the round. And even through all of those failed attempts, we still saw them prevail. With the chaotic firefights, with the last second clutches, right? So we know that they have that potential in them. They just have to carry it out, and they have to get more concise with it.
All right, defense going to stick a similar lineup. Clash going to be making their way on the pitch this time. That new rework proving to be quite devastating in some of those static hold positions, especially with Clash tricking being a thing. But they got a couple of answers, right? You bring along the Capitao to make sure that you can suss them out of those critical push point positions, flush them out with some of that fire, some of that smoke, and to bring a shield of your own. Skype, I mean, he's a known shield user, so he's probably going to do fairly well in some Blackbeard plays, as long as he's got a power of friendship in play, somebody to back him up with a little bit of that gunplay.
Starting shock drone.
Don't you love the power of friendship in a game like this?
My favorite thing. Yeah, my favorite thing.
In a game like this, where the community is so friendly and shippy and kind and just loving. Power of friendship. Power of friendship. Capitao! Love to see Capitao enter the fray. I love it, I love it, I love it. Capitao has been one of the best operators I've seen play thus far. Speaking of operators, got some players going off the board. Jaeger and Capitao and Twitch off the board, so I spoke a little bit too soon. That's a bit of caster's curse. Lots of chaos going down on the board already. A little bit of a rush from TBD from that hell door. It's already a 1v2. Ash is the last remaining player, gonna get hit by that Capcan trap. What a surprise. You've got the Clash up on the board still, though, so if we use the power of friendship working with that logic, Capcan can most definitely capitalize on this kill, but we know Ash is looking for that Capcan player. It's not going to be distracted by the Clash, but Capcan will still prevail. Come on top. And that's a round win for Baller once again.
Yeah, speed became a factor at the halfway point of that round. They thought they cleared all the boxes, checked every single one, and said, we're ready for an execute, and then surgical by the defense. They find themselves another round and just one closer to getting us tied up. In this battle for 7th place is going to turn itself into a bit of a barn burner on this best of one. I'm here for it. Fireplace and Mining up next. Not gonna see that 3rd floor yet again, as they're gonna stick to that same routine. 3rd floor, Jenna, it's just too soft. And if you're gonna have to play it anyways on a 2F, why not just make it a little bit more difficult with the extension? Honestly, I like it. I'm here for it. The Capcan back again, effective on that last round. May not have got a kill, but definitely did some damage, which helped out because Ash was feeling a little flicky-weeny towards that 1v2.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially when you're tunnel visioning and you are walking down to the barrel of a 1v2, you're tunnel visioning, you're running through hell door, you're running through to the reading door. You're not expecting it. Boom! You get exploded. Oh my god, that would set me off. I would scream. I would scream. I'd lose my mind. And then I'd get made fun of. Because why are you walking through a Capcan trap?
Listen, I would say that before, but I've seen some of the world's greatest Capcans just make people look absolutely silly. So, you know what? I got a healthy respect for Capcan. I always try to keep my distance, and a little bit sometimes it pays off. Activity on the 3rd floor. Gonna take a look in at Piano as Skype's getting active on the Blackbeard shield again. This time, gonna have to get active against those Banshees. Malusi going to try to do some pace setting of her very own. And with a couple of these operators in play, could prove to be quite effective. Problem is, Ying is here. That agent of chaos is going to try to disrupt just as much as they absolutely can.
One thing I love about Baller, though, is they have been able to traverse the chaos pretty well. Right? They get those cheeky attempts early round, but when it comes to the firefights, they have been able to hold their own. And that is exactly how they've been able to win out these rounds, is that they read it, they see it, and they play for it. Right? So this team, like I said, they do have quite great potential. It's just, you have to use that concisely, and you have to do it in a timely manner. Speaking of timely manner, great C4 kill onto Nightmare. That's your Capital once again off the board. Incredible. And now the chaos will ensue. Got Rye to pick up Slothy. That's your Ying off the board. Huge. But now Blackbeard's up on Cocktail side too. But it's already a 1v5. Rye's going to pick up 2. And that's Googer to finish off the round all at once. You love to see it.
It's defense.
That's
it's
defense,
fortress.
baby.
It's a hold. It's tough. And sometimes those one special little tricks like the Yin Candela is not going to be quite enough to get it done, especially when you're shooting threes with the C4. That was from downtown, took Nyx off the board, and just was that momentum starter, you know, because then the Candelas come in, but your Warden is ready, special goggles and special plays, and then it just falls apart. And all of a sudden, you're looking down the barrel of a tie game if Baller can take one more round, and they opt to go to Bakery, the strongest site for them so far, with some cams that can shoot back.
To me, I think that whole sequence with the C4 going out, that really goes to show how fragile an attack can truly be, especially when it's a rush strat like that, right? Because you've got the Capital on that white window, right? What does that mean? Capital is going to be watching those cocktail bars, right? But now Warden kills the Capital with that C4. So now Warden is alive. And if Warden is alive, then who's going to watch You know, the Ying's coming in. That's gonna be Warden, right? So it sets off this whole domino effect of the potential things that could occur, the events that could spiral into Baller's favor, right? So having that Capital up on the board, that was going to be huge for TBD. Not only with the Fire Bullets and being able to shut off specific spots, but also having that extra gun up on the board, especially on that white window, would have been huge for TBD.
Aptly said. Sun's out, guns out. They did a great
Sun's out,
job
guns
with
out.
it there. Baller looking to try to solidify the tie-up here down into the basement. Now, you can see by the attacker lineup, they've got potential to have some aggro towards Bakery with the Raura on the board. Means they're able to effectively cut off that coat check, that bottom of red pressure, and a couple of those other areas specifically. So getting into Bakery, going to be a little bit easier. The problem, you're going to have to suss out this top 4 player. The problem for Baller, there's only one.
Make way for Boogie!
There is only one. That is certainly a problem for Baller, but we cannot discount their mobility, right? The second that Baller realizes that there will be a significant push from that top floor, from that second floor, they're gonna come running. And there you go. Speaking of running, again, Sky is gonna pick up a player. Also, Gabba going off the board as well with the cheeky run out. And once again, we see Baller looking down the barrel of a defeat. They're going to have to pull their way out of the hell that they have created for themselves. Already in a 2v4 scenario, right? They're going to have their heads on a swivel. Already a 3v2. Googer's going to pick up one, and that's down to another, a 2v2, as it will happen. A triple kill for Googer, mind you, but taken off the board just as quickly. Already a 1v2. Mind you, Rye does have a C4 in hand, but also has very low health. So now TBD, they have a lot of time. They can slow down here. But Rye, I mean, backed in a corner.
In a corner, low health, and sussed down on a drone. This is an easy win here for the attack if they just get that pinch piece together, and that's exactly what they're looking for. Grimbees go out as they start to reveal the location. It's going to push him back into the bakery onto the rotate, but they're there. The cross is set. The body shot is hit. And Jenna, we find ourselves on a match point scenario.
I have to hand it to Baller, though. Before they hit match point, they won a lot of rounds. A lot more rounds than I initially thought they would win before we saw a match point, right? They're only down 2 rounds at this point. It is very winnable for them. It is very possible for them to pull ourselves into an overtime scenario. All Baller has to do is win these next 2 rounds. First one, of course, being on kitchen. Second one, likely being some second floor, perhaps even cocktail, 3rd floor. And then we're gonna see OT. Okay. In what world? In what world? Like possibilities. If we're looking at percentages, what world do you think we'll see in overtime?
Honestly, if they can adapt to what they saw out of this last round, right? Gugs was going huge on the Maestro. An LMG taking multi-kill action. If we can have something like that again, then yeah, honestly, I think we can get there. It just has to have a couple of good rounds. The problem is like TBD is making some silly mistakes, and even though they won that round, it was very telling, right? Gug's able to get himself a triple kill, put himself on pace to the ace. You still saw some cap can traps being hit, which is putting him into those low health situations and down on the downs. If TBD is going to make those mistakes, then yeah, Baller should be able to capitalize. The first one though, Webb going down, man, that hurts. Yeah, he gets his passive util, or he gets his util down, so you don't have to necessarily worry about it anymore, but man, that's a body down, and on a match point scenario, it's not a mountain you want to climb.
And the unfortunate part is that at this point, TBD is not falling for Baller's cheap tricks, right? Almost every defensive round we've seen Baller play has been one player trying to go for the run out, somebody trying to do something crazy and getting absolutely punished for it, and then we see an immediate player disadvantage, which they always have to come back from. Now, do they come back from it? Most of the time, yes. But should they have to in the first place? The answer is always going to be no, right? right? You do not want that Kaid off the board, regardless if it was utility that could have been placed preemptively. You don't want to have that body off the board. That's definitely something for Baller to fix. We're gonna have kill.
Play.
Yeah.
Couple of exchanges there. They find the cap cannon off the board. Luckily, he can be the 6th man and claim a kill should they get to it. 4-3, man advantage into the hands of the attackers. Nick's going to take some damage, but he's able to escape with his life. Back onto the cam, take another little look at it. Boots able to find Rye off the board, and it starts to spell disaster here on this match point scenario. Gugs with an LMG, a reload to make sure that he has enough to get the job done. Drones coming in. They're sussing him out. They're going to start to put the pinch move on him immediately. Ram drone is going off. Gugs able to find one, and that was a big one. Looking towards the window. He's good for 2 now. Now he's got the vertical pressure to deal with, and Boots able to take him off the board. Gugs going to be the last alive in a 1v2. Going for the plant. Going to be stopped by the cams and not able to shoot it off the board so well. Means he's going to be a viable option, but they know where he was at. They know his bakery presence. Plant starting to go down again in the relative safety camless area, but Boots good for the triple on top of it. They're going to claim it as the GG's. Ring out in chat. 7th place solidified at TBD. They're going to take it.
I was shaking in my boots. I was shaking in my boots.
I see what you did there.
I was shaking in my boots. 14-5. Whoa. That's pretty good numbers that Boots put up there. Wow. What an incredible game. I actually really loved casting that, even though it was very up and down for Baller. I feel like at times there were moments where they weren't taking it fully seriously. I love to see their push-through mentality, right? Their brute force mentality. You had a lot of great plays, especially from Gugar on those defensive rounds. I mean, definitely shine through towards the end of that match, which I wasn't expecting, even though that was your player to watch. But do have to say, all in all, I mean, Baller, they tried their best. They fought to the end. It was just TBD. TBD came out on top. They had that pacing immediately out the gate. The advantage was too wide between these two teams. Had Baller gotten a few more rounds from the cuff, immediately made it that 4-2, I feel we would have seen a different game. But that wasn't the case. See a 7-4? We've got some stats to look at.
Yeah, no kidding. Couple of standouts here. Skype pulling off that 12-6, Boots on the 14-5, definitely put themselves into that win-con conversation. And yeah, Baller had some really good looks. They had some strengths. They had some moments of greatness, but fell short in the end. Just not enough to get it done. And even though Gugs had enough bullets in his LMG to take them all on, alas, it was not meant to be so. 2 best of ones for you today. One of them is done and dusted, 7-4, as it all clears out, which means when we come back, it's one more. And fingers crossed, it's going to be just as good as the first. Sit back, relax, because when we come back, we're going to bring you the second match. Hey, yo. What's up, and welcome back, fellow Siege spectators and players. A little bit of a switch up here for this next best of one. Brought my best friend, Mr. Whiskey Run. Hey, bro, you ready for another absolute banger?
Yes, sir, my friend. AEL Season 3 Retribution is here, and U.S. Army taking on Corvus. This is a match I've been looking forward to, especially after that little bit of chaos in the previous match. This one catching up here, and it is against two teams here near the top of the stack. U.S. Army and Corvus both very close to the top, just barely behind Temper in the overall standings. But man, U.S. Army is right there, number 2 on the list, and 8-2 overall is a hell of a win streak.
Yeah, absolutely. And U.S. Army has been a team to beat here recently, right? They have had some incredible communication moves in the last couple of games that we've got to watch them play. You can tell that this core group has really started to come together as a team, and it's showing. Right, second, they're vying to put themselves near the top in that playoff contention spot. I'm excited for it. Let's take a look at them. U.S. Army is probably, like I was saying, one of those teams to beat. You can see it ring out in the chat, pin on top. And he's going to be the player to watch for this one. A pretty standard victory against the last 7-5, currently on a streak. I believe is that 4-win streak. Honestly, this is just a good overall all-around team, right? So target banning a little bit more difficult. They've got a pretty deep map pool as far as what maps they're comfortable with. Honestly, could quickly turn in run to one of the teams to beat.
Yeah, and I will say, they had the long win streak there with 4 in a row. 2 of them were forfeit wins. So I want to temper the expectations just a little bit. US Army right now is on top looking good, but they're not unbeatable. They're not undefeatable here, and Corvus has got them up next. So take a look at this US Army lineup. I mean, kills overall, not bad. The survivability, the fact that most of the teams sort of in that 30-40 range, they can pull this off, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the other side of it, the contenders, Corvus Corpse coming in their last win, a forfeit, similar streak, right? You can see that they've had some pretty good victories. Impulse going to be the one to watch here, sitting at that 1.3 KD. Honestly, run this one potentially has the potential to see us in some overtime, especially dependent upon which map we get to. Let's take a quick look at the roster.
All right, couple of names that you know. Blitz in there. No, he's not the operator. That's the player Blitz coming in. So I wouldn't say that we're seeing a known set of players here in the scene. Starting to break in though on the T4 side. These are the up and coming guys to watch at this point. I mean, kills spread across the board. No one really dominating here. That says to me that everybody contributing here and is a viable member of this squad. And really, with 4 in a row on their side, those was 3 regular wins and 1 forfeit, and coming in on a win streak into this game, Corvus could possibly hold their own here against U.S. Army.
Momentum is the name of the game potentially here, but you got to get started with where in the world are we going? Couple of bands off the board, one to highlight specifically. Cafe, not going to be had today. So we're going to get 2
W.
separate maps for this best of one. I'm here for it. But yet again, Run, we're looking at a map that you don't like very much, kind of making it deep into the map pool. In fact, almost the last one before we see border.
They honestly got me a little worried about it. Yeah, Skyscraper definitely on my list of maps that I could honestly do without in the competitive map pool at this point. And I know there has been some changes on the ranked side. There has been some changes in the way that Ubisoft is talking about which maps are going to continue to be to the pool. Skyscraper, I know there are some big fans of that map out there, so I don't mind seeing it every once in a while. But it really feels like a map that doesn't fit as well in the competitive map pool. Very heavily sided depending on which whether or not you're picking it, whether or not you start on attack or defense. So to have Border come in, though, I think this is a great best of one map. Quick, offensive. This one is going to be a fun map.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the way that Skyscraper is incredibly defensive, oppressive, Border is going to lean to the other direction. Highly dubbed is one of those attacker-sided maps where if you have got a collective group of people that can just push at the same time, the odds of your success go up considerably on the attack side of it. You have to start out with the bans, though. It can play a little bit different than what you see on the other sort of matches. First ones to come out of the gate, couple of classics. Gonna get Ace, gonna get Azami off the board. Azami probably one of the best defender bans on Border because it's so much soft reach. Run, you could just make those cheeky peeky angles everywhere. Oh, did I lose you?
I mean,
All
yes, you did a little bit, but I'm back. I was gonna say that that not only is it typical for Border, it also plays into the bans that these teams like to ban across the board. Ace and Azami, those opening ones, 100, they're most banned on the list throughout the entire season so far. So certainly no surprise. The Hibana is an interesting one. We don't see Hibana played on Border that often because it's a little bit of a slow gadget. Seems like there's better opportunities there from the attackers to take off because normally we see Blackbeard, right?
Defenders,
They've
protect your
left
bombs from
shields
being
on the
defused
board,
by
which I
attackers.
think is potentially a mistake coming in here to Border.
Yeah, this could be Shield Central, and if you're going to be taking the Habana out, that means that you want to use the castle, right? That's one of the big main reasons. Yes, she's the Hatch Queen. Yes, she gives you some of that vertical, but it's the castle and Mira that you're looking at to try to keep off the board. And when you take away that long range hard breach, Selma's and the X Kairos, that means some of those gadgets are going to stay alive quite a bit longer. Specifically talking about Run, those Miras in this case.
5 seconds to insertion.
It's definitely going to make that a little bit more difficult. It's almost going to force
Attackers
the
are moving
Twitch
out to
or the
locate a
Ash
bomb.
into the attacking side, which of course they didn't bring either. They're going to leave both Twitch and Ash off the board, which is going to make the Mira, I think, an incredible asset here to start off this round. And I think they're going to maybe regret not bringing at least one of those operators to try and manage this. Blackbeard, we said, leaving the shields on the board, potentially a problem here for this defense, and Corvus has leaned into it. They brought 2.
Okay, gonna see some quick action here as Grim gonna take a couple of shots and come out a little worse for wear for that one, but some intel that somebody's playing a little bit closer. Doubled up on the shield duty means we're gonna be taking some space as soon as they can find somebody to isolate to take off the board. But really, this first minute, outside of that first interaction, really just getting those drones to work.
Border definitely bounces between being a very aggressive map and one that at least the attackers try and set the pace of. So if the defense wants to hang back just a little bit, it is a best of one. So we don't have a bunch of maps here to try and balance off of. So hanging back a little bit, checking to see how this attacking team is going to play it, how quickly they're going to push, honestly a good call. But bringing along 2 shields, I thought they might be just a tad bit more forward. Here we are sitting a minute 30 into this round, all 10 left alive. No real space to be had. The defense is still holding on to break. They're still holding on to security. And we watch Monty drop, I think accidentally, downstairs.
slowly!
Man, tough one. Now the Vector rings out as the C4 tries to claim the Monty as well. They start to make their bit of their push in. Vector to claim one more. There's 2 on the board. Both Mira and Goyo. Goyo suffering that ACOG loss now. Wondering if he's still going to be that viable option. I think so, Run. They've claimed that man advantage in a big way now as they're down by 3 in this first. Monty with all to do as Buck is just going to pull up.
Well, and you pointed out Pin as the guy to watch during this game, and I was going to say, man, Info picked up the slack, picking up a double to start it off, but Pin answers, picks up his first tier as well, and now Impulse, Soldier, the last 2 guys left alive, and it's kind of funny that Soldier is playing against U.S. Army, the last one left alive, deleted, though, to end it.
Yep, a little bit of siege poetry playing out. U.S. Army going to claim their first on defense. That's kind of a big round. You get the 2F off the board, done and dealt with. Now you can be a little bit more flexible, right? Now we take it downstairs, probably to the bathroom tellers, I'm thinking, with that extension upstairs. So you're still playing 2F. You're still holding all of that same stuff. This time you have to get down to the first floor once you get ready for your exit.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
All right, amigo, getting into it. Now, bathroom tellers, the standard here, second sight has certainly moved into that position now. I like the fact that they're bringing out the Scopos. I think a bit of a highlight, and it seems like Frost makes an appearance on this particular site an awful lot. You have a couple jump-in points, either over top the window, either through both of the glass teller windows, or a lot of times you see that deployable shield downstairs next to the workshop side. So a lot of opportunities there for the attackers to hop into those frost mats. So I think that's a great call here defensively.
One of the highlights here on the attack, we're going to see new operator Aurora being brought out. One of the things that we love about that is I believe it's just in range for you to be able to hit that door leading out of sight. So effectively cutting off a ton of potential retake abilities, or at least, if not cutting it off, making it substantially harder to get into when you find yourself on the back end of a plan.
Well, yeah, if you can get a attacker into the side of the tellers, either through the bottom of the east stairs side, and then use a railroad to block off the site door from the window. That certainly makes it very difficult for the defenders to try and retake that side. Leaves the bathroom a little bit vulnerable, but if you're going for the teller side take, I think Rauer is a great play here. And I love that we're starting to see more and more competitive teams starting to utilize her in some of those specific situations.
Yeah, honestly, I love to absolutely see it, and I can't wait for this new operator as well, which is in a bit of a quarantine ban here for this first week. You can start to get used to them here inside of the AEL. Nothing really different here, Run. They've taken a body, but haven't taken very much space to capitalize it off just yet. Gonna get some drones inside and make sure that this east side top-down take going to be a little bit more effective. But first, you got to get through Louis. He's going to take Blitz off the board, equalize on the man count, and stop wherever, if there was any of those gadgets left in the gun, not going to be able to use them now.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Not going to be able to use the down panels there as any part of the attacking execute at this point. Gone. So all of that discussion early, they're going to have to rely on some of the more manual operators here. Bringing out the gridlock at least has got the opportunity to try and protect against a flank, but at this point, we're starting to get down that final minute of play. Whether or not the tracks are going to be an important part, because they haven't managed to push this defense out of position yet. And Louis just holding down over on the custom side, just being an absolute menace. The attackers are going to have to work on clearing him out before they're able to really get anywhere.
A couple of shots towards Passport, but not paying dividends just yet. Louis able to take Marvelli off the board, answer back by Impulse as Pin goes down. And now they've taken that shot into custom, leaving this 2v3 situation. Monty just feeding intel currently. Has to get through the fire to make a play here.
Oh,
but,
what are you doing?
Yeah, I just would like to remind you, fire hot, my friend. Does make it into the corner, which means that Monty jumping in just going to be a little bit more tougher. Now the power of friendship. They're close. No C4 in hand to be able to act on. Grenade's going to ring out and force him out of the corner. Now
What a
looking towards the
nade.
bathroom. The smokes are out. The plant is starting to go down. It's a low health situation. If he can just get a shot onto the Monty to stop it before it goes down, could find something. Not going to be the case. It's a post-plant scenario. Monty is active, and they're going to take the shots from the window.
Well played on the attack. It was a slow start, very much feeling like that was going to be a defensive win there until, man, they just absolutely came alive, and we see the attacker-sided nature of Border show up in the final 30 seconds of that round. And yeah, somebody pointed out in the chat, McHugh, the best trash talker NA. I don't know, one question mark in chat so far. I don't know if he's in contention yet, but we'll see as the rest of this map develops.
Man, I don't
Attackers
know if
need
I
to
could
locate and
solidly
defuse
say
as many bombs as they
best
can.
NA. Maybe Ashen, he's vocal. In the T3 scene, T2 scene, there's several names that come to mind. I won't air that out here, though.
That's right. Play it safe, my friend. But we all know who they are. They have been out and around. see whether or not these guys can join that crew. Now, I love, we were just talking about McHugh. I love the fact that he's bringing out the Valk here. Lots of good opportunity for holding down, giving away some of that intel. We were watching Corvus spend a lot of time droning on that previous round, so give a little bit of extra intel here on the defensive side to figure out where exactly this push is going to come from.
Vulcans are up.
Really a setup in slowing you down on this one, Run. Anticipating some shield play here, right? Goyo to make sure you got that area denial solidified, but then also bringing along the Frost and the Legion. You're anticipating more shield play, and you're anticipating trying to put yourself in a position to handle that. I like the play here. Already starting to make their way inside, though. Pistols pops down. East Balk isn't going to find anything yet. In fact, Buck the only one claiming a little bit of damage after that at last.
We can push forward.
I was thinking that, up until about that last minute, Monty hadn't really been a factor here on the attacking side, but he was a big part of why they managed to get that diffuser down and then hold the post-plant scenario for just a few seconds. All this battle, though, happening upstairs, and they're looking who the defenders are upstairs, and I don't know whether or not they've identified all of the Valk cams here that are on them. All of that area is covered in, yeah, there you go. You saw one of the Valk cam pinged out.
Yep, no C4s to be had, though, to try to capitalize on it, at least from down below. And that vertical pressure going to be relieved as Buck was taken off the board for the attackers. They do have a pre-place there. They should have still grabbed something. No, Monty's going to take it off the board. That means no C4s. One impact out in the hands of Scopos. Spin will try to get active on that potential Monty. You said they can't find it. Well, bring in the IQ, Run. They're going to get those Valk cams located.
Office here, potentially the next engagement. As we talked about the Frost, she's holding down upstairs. And IQ was going looking, going hunting. But I think there's a big question. Maybe IQ not realizing that the defenders have got a player up in Office. That could be a huge flank here coming out for Hyper.
Or a gadget goes down, making it a little bit safer to play in that courtyard area. Just being a walking drone, the amount of info that he's able to give off right now, going to be huge, but they're going to take some shots in reverse. Gridlock, bit of damage. Goes for a bit of a wall bang, but still hasn't quite sussed out where the defender has moved to. Instead, they're going to bring the buddy system up and play to try to act on it together, and the down goes on to Gridlock instead. They're going to be able to get her back up, but potential danger zone here on the soft wall is they're just locked in here on Canadian.
This execute completely falling apart. No control of the vertical at this point. Louis going to pick up a second. Hype Deer going to pick up a third, and then Pin going to finish this thing off. Really, the attackers had nothing in this case to be able to hold on. Much too slow of an execute. Much too slow of a setup there at the end. And the defense picks up one, answering back on Bathroom Tellers.
Yeah, just looked like they basically hit a brick wall, right? They lost that vertical player in Buck, and it almost seemed like Corvus just didn't quite know what to do at that point. There wasn't a plan B, right? The plan was get vertical, kill players, plant. When they lost that vertical chance to be able to take anybody off the board, they just got stymied. It slowed down and it fizzled out, and then it's a flawless round for U.S. Army. Looking pretty good, right? We've seen two go into the side of the defense, and now that first bit of round rotate is over and done with. One attacking win doesn't feel quite right to me.
And for me, the fact that we saw the U.S. Army adapt, right? We
Attackers
saw
need to locate and
the
defuse
Corvus put together a great execute downstairs, completely eliminate the U.S. Army team, felt in that final minute, post-plant scenario, they got the plant down, and then the second time we play that site, significantly better there from U.S. Army on the defensive side. Played better upstairs, better hold, and Corvus just really could not manage to deal with it. So not only was it a good defensive win for them, the fact that they came back and did such a good job answering what was a good second round from Corvus, I think is even a better highlight there for the U.S. Army team.
So we see the last bands go through, and it's going to be Intel. the side of Corvus. They want to get that, make sure that Valkyrie's off the
Banshee
board.
ready to go.
And finally, the first shield taken down. U.S. Army just not quite afraid to play against that shield play. But Monty was there, he was active, so yeah, makes sense. We can get him taken down. He's looking towards a huge extension here, Run. Is they're going to be holding on to security, not just from security, but also from the other side with the mirror shield being set up. That whole wall being opened up and just daring, wishing, hoping somebody would take it.
30 seconds in this round, you see McHugh running the clash here, just gaining a little bit of intel on the defensive side on how the attacker's going to manage this. They do block the mirror window there on the main breach, but there's still a bunch of defensive utility. The Goyo canister plus Mirror herself holding on to that spot.
DMR starting to get active as they're trying to put the pinch move on to the Aruni player here, and a little bit of danger is going to see some vertical pressure maybe as well. Got some intel, but you know what? Pin's going to take it. That's a huge play as they're able to take the Doki down. That means no cams to be had, no split push. Blitz is going to be able to take it, but it's going to be answered back. Our friendship into the hallway, claims one. Another to fall as the Vector rings out. Double duty on the Vector damage, and they're both going to claim one run.
Wow, flurry of activity there in the beginning part of this round. I mean, we're at minute 30 in. Several dead bodies litter the playing field here on Border, and it sort of stalled out this attack on the mid round. You know, you've got Ash and Buck still left alive, and geez, just as I say her name, or both of them, they go down in a hail of bullets, barely making it in the building over on the security side.
Yeah, I thought we banned Skyscraper. What happened, Run? That shouldn't be the problem here on Border. Get in, you can take some gunfights from a long distance, but U.S. Army just building a fortress here, right? They're just really solidifying long distance hold, not allowing these players to take any extended space, and they've got zone play happening, right? If you're taking on the Aruni, you can best guarantee that there's going to be some shots from the hallway coming to help the homie out. And if they're pushed towards the other side of that main wall there, then the mirror is going to have some fun playing off of the mirror window there. So every single player here on U.S. Army has got somebody backing them up in their play. And that is, of course, why we're seeing it sit 3-1.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Yeah, to me, I feel like at this point, this attacking team wanted to be able to open up those sight lines, right? The Azami, the castle as the alternative, block those off, and then that left Mira available. And right now, Hype Deer has been running the Mira and dominating upstairs there. So as they run down to the downstairs side here on Ventno, man, just a little bit of a drone dynamics, having some fun downstairs. The drone escapes unscathed, avoids the defensive melee barrage. But right now, to me, it feels like the U.S. Army is sort of winning, if you want to call it the band battle at this point, because Corvus is just struggling to deal with the assets the Army brought in. The shields right now do not appear to be helping them significantly.
Yeah, not just not significantly, but like non-factor almost. Yeah, Monty is great at getting that information, at being that walking drone, and just having that presence there to be an extra body, but really has not been super effective just yet. Soul's getting trapped down into the corner. This was dubbed the person to watch here. Pin on the Souls with his P90 in hand, so they've got a little bit of work to do. We're going to try to take him down. He sits currently 4-2, but not the frag leader, right? Goyo, 6-1. Fenrir, 5-1. It's just finding many places to multi.
Yeah, kind of crazy. Talked about McHugh playing being the shit talker, but definitely not backing it up at this point in terms of his kill count. But he hasn't needed to. And you've got so many players right now that are just continuing to pad it. But look at this quick execute coming out. The Sens Glass combo. I freaking love this.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, you didn't deal with the vertical, right? You knew Pin was there. You had the pressure on him from the window, from the breach, and you didn't do anything about it, and so you push in, and you pay the freaking price. You know, Blitz goes down off the back of a potential trying to plant, and Yeah, 4-1 because, duh, it's 4-1. You didn't take any vertical space there. Run. I'm a little twisted on that one. You know, the quick point can't work with incredible amounts of soft breach ahead of you and plenty of info to make sure that you're denied.
Yeah, certainly not enough prep work done there from the attackers to make that quick plant work. They tried the main door, sensing off that whole area, and it looked like they gained a little bit of space. You till dump in that spot, but you said it, no vertical
Defenders,
control.
protect your bombs
And
from being
I know we
defused
talk
by
about it all the
attackers.
time in some of the higher levels of Siege that the teams that play the vertical, control the vertical better, are the teams that typically win these matches. And you saw a little bit of a glimpse of it there as U.S. Army just managed that better, and Corvus just really not dealing with it. I think that shows again why U.S. Army is in second place in their division. Corvus is no slouch, obviously, sitting in fourth place, but they're going to have to do better if they want to go a little bit further in these AEL playoffs.
Okay, so switch it up a little bit. Scopos coming out to play. Still going to have some of that clash shield. Vigil making his way on the floor. I didn't see. Did he pull out the Bosch G? Feels like he's gonna. No, he didn't.
Oh, he's gonna.
Okay, yeah, ready for the
K1A.
multi-kill. I like him more and more
it
as
says
we
to
go.
me he wants to get active. And we were talking about it a little bit. Thanks everyone for joining us on freaking launch day here for Year 10 Season 4, the Operation High Stakes. One of the changes there coming in, SMG 12. We've seen some of these weapons change up. We've lost the ACOGs on several of the defenders, changed up some other options with the way that the rest of the utility and the gadgets and the guns interact. So we're going to see how all of that develops. I'm a little disappointed that that we didn't get to see Denari so far. I know quarantine for this first week, but the pros are going to be using him in 2 days when NAL kicks off. We're going to get a good glimpse of how they're going to use him.
Shield on shield action as he gets locked into the corner, and it is going to be info taken off the board. That's part of the win con met, but going to be answered back. Pin's able to take down Twitch, which means some of that gadgetry going to stay around just a little bit longer. When the dust settles, Clash is going to stay alive and holding on to the top floor, just putting that pressure on. Play by the defense.
I mean, I guess you don't need to pick up kills if you're just being the intel, the support, and the slowdown single-handedly upstairs to hold on to this second floor. Again, they need the vertical control, and right now, U.S. Army defense just doing a better job of managing that. You've got 4 left alive, and geez, just as we say it, he goes down, and that gives up a significant part of this defense upstairs.
Hyper able to find one, but immediately traded back as we now put ourselves into a 3-2 situation. And look at that, all the way onto a full health Scopos drone. So all of that damage that was done. Bye, see ya later. So a little bit better when you're putting yourself into the last 60 seconds here against the Corvus, who's looking to put themselves on a bit of a standard split here. A 4-2 isn't necessarily a win, but it feels a lot better than a 5-1 when you're going onto your defensive half. 46 run as it starts to count down. The timer ticking, not making any progress. This is the part that has kind of nailed them in the past. They take space, don't capitalize off it just yet. Damos trying to find one through the pistol, but it's dancing down below as the quick feed are going to result in life sustained at this moment.
19 seconds left, my friend. This is it. Get the execute going. It's a 3v2. You got this.
Yep, now they're going to get the Roar Gadget down, but not going to be quite enough. Blitz is going to go down, and now it's all going to be left up to Ash. What was an incredibly winnable situation quickly falls apart.
Yo, Pin!
Pin good for a double. He was the player to watch. You heard him say it, Pin on top in chat. Well, this time he's coming out looking smooth. 5-1 on the half. Now we get to see some of that aggro that no U.S. Army.
Vanface coming in, this time on the swap, and a 5-1 defensive split there for U.S. Army. Unbelievable. That is a huge advantage here coming in. Now they get to go on attack, and they are really just dealing the damage out to Corvus.
Blackbeard off the board, and we don't want to have to deal with that shields, especially when they've only got one round to put themselves on a match point scenario, the potential for it to get very, very quick is definitely in play here. And that's right. You can see it in the all chat there. Blackbeard, I believe, five separate nerfs hit onto him today with the launch of the new season. They're going to double down on shield duty here, Run.
Well, and I think U.S. Army picking the better operator. We talked about it early on. The Mira going down plus the Azami, so they took care of one half of that mobile setup. They're going to have to deal with the castles, obviously, but I think Mira a little bit more difficult to manage, and certainly Corvus struggled with that. So again, great bans there on the U.S. Army
Defenders, protect
side.
your bombs from
Corvus
being defused
getting rid
by
of the
attackers.
shields. I think that's a good call for Border in general. And the hard breaches, yeah, they're important to ban out, but I think this gives the defense a little bit more flexibility, opens up the ability to take some of those one-on-one gunplay. I think this is a good call.
Shotguns in the hand. They know something's going to be quick, and how do you deal with some of that close quarter combat? Well, smoke and mute is a good answer to that. The Chaos Agent of Ying on the other side was going to necessitate a Warden to be around, a couple of C4s. They're anticipating a quick plan here, Run,
5 seconds
and
left.
they're going to do their best to try to shut this thing down. Ella, great for the shield play, not bringing one on the side of the attack either. So not only are they not worried about facing the shields on the attacker side of it, but they're not really showing it either.
It is interesting. I know they talked about it in the chat, and you mentioned it. Yeah, the fact that Blackbeard nerfed into the ground. Is it worth spending a ban on him at this point? Waiting to see. Maybe a little bit of comfort here. We played basically the entire Year 10 Season 3 with Blackbeard being one of the #1 banned operators. So whether or not it's worth it as we get in. But look at this. I freaking love that security room door play. And right now, Corvus just making it work for them.
As they are going to find the downs, and the man advantage sits into the hands of the defense in a big way. Is now Info, the win con, is the only one left alive. DMR is going to find one. It is the meta, and there's a reason. Only a couple to put you down. 1v3 now in hand, with plenty of time left on the Hackers. User, though, is full. Or that run out. Nobody quite in a position to give it to him just yet, although sticking that spawn peak that you specifically love. I do like that one as well. He goes down in the prone position.
No way.
They're going to suss him out pretty easily. That's going to be a defensive win. Okay, maybe the spot for the top here and playoff contention doesn't see Border being attacker-sided? Question mark?
I think this is right. It's 2F, right? It's the best opportunity that the defense has to win on Border for sure. So the other sides get to be more difficult. The real game changer here, though, is going to be part of the reason that it is attacker sided is that it's difficult to hold the vertical
Defenders,
on Border
protect your
because so
bombs
much
from
of the
being
floor,
defused
so
by
much of that
attackers.
area is breachable and dangerous. So the problem was that U.S. Army did a better job holding it on their defensive half. So I don't know whether or not that gives the same boost to Corvus. We're going to see and need them to manage the vertical better this time to try and protect that site. And whether or not that leads to a U.S. Army quick plant, if they go up in a 6-2 scenario, if they find a round win here on round 8, then we might start to see a little bit of shenanigans. But that's the piece I think we got to watch out for. How well is Corvus going to hold this second floor? And are we going to see the attackers rise here once we get into a first floor site?
Well, one thing we can note early on is it looked like there was no rotate in the bathroom, right? So outside of the extension directly above, might not be some of that rotate back to site presence coming into that late round. We'll see how that plays out for the defenders. If you're right and they do a great job of holding on to this top floor, then you know what? Yeah, that was a good play. Defense already going to get active again. Pin goes down. Oh, man, the guy just peeked and found him. That's twice some crazy kills happening that way.
Well, and it shows that, Corvus committed the players, they committed the utility there to the second floor, and they committed a little bit of aggression. Running out again out the same door, picking up another kill in the same spot, and this time he takes down Pin. And if you didn't look at a scoreline, he was 8, 4, and 10 10 assists. The man was absolutely on fire, and have him go down as that opening pick on the U.S. Army side was definitely a dangerous spot, but they are certainly responding in a big way, getting it all the way back to a 4v3.
Yeah, forcing the defenders back down now into sight. Ella being that lone survivor and soldier up on the second floor. They're going to take her down as the pinch starts to happen. Info just continuing his dominance at 11 and 3. Now into a 4v2, and the tag team, they've got plenty of time now to suss out these last defenders, right? Get a little bit of intel, force them back into some disadvantageous positions, and then, yeah, you can either get them isolated outside of sight, so you can go for plants, or just for straight kills.
And they had the angle there on the bathroom, but just completely fell apart at this point. Good hold, it looked like, for just a moment, but the DMRs ring out at the end of that round. U.S. Army picks up an attacking win there. We saw the vertical work at least at the beginning, but a little bit of over aggression there, and U.S. Army played with, just leaned into what they needed to do. And you take a look at that. Look at that, 4 in a row, 6-2 is a huge scoreline. I think this is a great time for Corvus, obviously, to take a timeout and potentially their last opportunity. Because if they can't find a win, U.S. Army is going home here in the second place in their division.
Yeah, and a little bit late on the timeout, right? Things are going a little bit tough throughout the map. There's several points in which you can stop, get a little bit of a conversation. But on a match point, this isn't like the make or break round. Yeah, they got to be perfect for 3 in a row, not just the very next win, right? And even if it's a momentum shifter, you still got 2 that you have to get through to a very aggressive US. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not saying that. That we have definitely seen this sort of gameplay before, and maybe the timeout is going to work in Corvus's favor, but it's a tough hill to climb.
I love some of the chat there coming was great. Is this the
Attackers need to locate
lowercase
and defuse as many bombs as they
USAE aura coming in? He answers back, all right. Oh man, sometimes these guys crack me up. Love getting to see this play out. So we're gonna see bathroom and tellers again. Honestly, good call, the best opportunity there. The defense has to try and hold before they can go back upstairs to the 2F. So we saw them commit a lot of players and resources to the second floor last round. It wasn't enough. They ended up with 3 players for most of the round upstairs before getting decimated. Are they going to hold on to that same level of hold, or are they going to increase it maybe just a little bit more? I'd love to see the U.S. Army try a quick plant in this case. We said if it got to a 6-2 scenario that we could see some of those shenanigans. I would love to see them do that, but they also said, I think one of their players has to work in 15 minutes, so they're trying to win right freaking now.
I don't know if I buy that run. Doesn't feel quite right. Well, defenses, they're going to set themselves back up onto the security hold again, but this time, U.S. Army not going to be quite fooled by that run out. That has worked twice now. And they're going to take a couple of angles, try to get them cut off and isolated, and it's going to force the Goyo out to make a rotate, but he gets onto the door. Unsussed out, this could be a huge play as they've got the cross set up. He's looking for it, not going to see anybody just yet. Instead, it's the relative safety of the generators. He's going to take a peek.
He took down Info, man. Dox is just on fire right now. He is just working over this U.S. Army team. The problem is it is not resulting in round wins. He takes down Pin, he takes down Info in the opening kills in the last 2 rounds. But can he turn this into a round win at this point?
Yeah, he's got to be good for the multi-kill here. Being put into a better position to be more of an impact. He finds one, but it comes at a cost. Blitz is down in the health advantage by a big way, and now as the Legion who goes off, they're starting to make their way up into this top floor. They're going to find Dox off the board. That was a tough one. Now we're equalized with the health advantage sitting into the hands of U.S. Army. Holding on to the top floor here. It is going to still be the Valkyrie and the Legion to try to make sure they can't get quite in. They've got plenty of time, though.
Yeah, there. The attackers need to work this drone. They need to work this intel. And while even they pinged out the Valve, taking some shots through the wall, maybe not knowing exactly where she's at. And look at that trigger discipline, holding on, waiting. This is going to be the difference maker here for this Corvus team, assuming Valve can stay alive.
Yep, they're going to take one off the board. A second to fall as Pin's able to take down the Blitz. That is that Valkyrie done and
never
dusted.
mind.
Legion now dealt with into a 4v1. You know what? Let's call it a 4v. Sheesh!
Okay, my friend. Year 10, Season 4, launch day. U.S. Army on top, 7-2, honestly dominant both sides of the map. Defense, attacking, they just played better overall. Even though there was some moments of brilliance there from the Corvus team, U.S. Army overall was just better across the board, every site, taking advantage of every mistake they were making and made fewer themselves. Honestly, great game. And
Yeah, no
quick.
kidding. And quick, absolutely quick. I mean, yeah, this is the one that we expected a little bit of more action, a little bit more back and forth out of. Unfortunate that we didn't get to see it on this one. Border, it's just quick. That is the map. It's a quick map, and U.S. Army just looked great. A TED Talk on how to both defend and attack it. A real masterclass in solidifying themselves up at the top point run. I can't believe it's already over.
I can't believe Louis there picking up 100% KOST, but then pin 3-1 entry as well to start that thing off. He was having a hell of a game. The Corvus tried to answer back. I mean, we talked about Dox at the end. He was trying to hold his own, but just not able to stay alive long enough to make a big difference. U.S. Army just better overall. And 7-2 shows it. They came in the second place team. I believe they go out the second place team. They're not going to upset Temper, who is playing in the grand final for Mukbang tomorrow. Just wanted to throw that out there. If you want to see the U.S. Army's potential, biggest battle in the AEL, we're going to see them on stream tomorrow.
Oh, a little VOD review to be had. I'm here for it. Yeah, we got all kinds of cool stuff happening. As you know, Whiskey Run and I are part of the Siege Double Shot. Tomorrow is going to be a very big day for us, not just for the stream, but we've got some really important, cool news coming your way. Something that's been asked about a ton finally has come to fruition, and we're going to be bringing that to you tomorrow. If you want to at us, we're on X. You can get me at glitter_whiskey. He's going to be at Racing ENGR. And together, we are the Siege Double Shot. It has been a great day for AEL. It has been a great day for Retribution. But alas, we have come to the dreaded part of the evening where we must bid you adieu. So as the lights start to dim and the jukebox starts to sing closing time, as always, my friends, you don't have to go home.
But you can't stay here.
Ayo.
Let's go.
Retribution! Retribution!
We were forged beneath the fire, names erased but never tarred. From defeat we carve our fate. Retribution will not wait.
Silent shadows, voices loud. No more silence, hear us now. Raise the banners, seal the breach, we reclaim